Good evening. Welcome to the May 20th, 2019 meeting of the Coeur d'Alene Parks and Recreation Commission. Melissa, would you get us started with roll call, please?
Commissioner Cranston.
Here.
Commissioner McDowell.
Here.
Commissioner Lean.
Here.
Commissioner Tate.
Here.
Commissioner Hill. Commissioner Wood.
Here.
Commissioner Ettinger.
Here.
Commissioner Kennard.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum tonight. If everybody would stand, we'll have Jim here lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have a fairly limited agenda tonight, but does any of the commissioners tonight have a conflict of interest with any of those items?
No.
Okay. There is none. Next is the approval of the April 15th, 2019 meeting minutes.
So move. Second.
Any comments, corrections? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. Melissa, that was the motion made by Commissioner Ettinger and seconded by Commissioner McDowell. Hey, Bill, do you have a staff report for us tonight?
Thank you, Commissioner. Let's see, we've got a lot going on, and I sent a heads out up to all of the department heads in the city, and I just wanted to fill you in about what the staff has been doing to get ready for this season and this Memorial Day weekend. So all our splash pads will be up and running. The skate park landscaping and the irrigation have been installed, and it'll complete that this week, and then hydro seed goes down. Our staff went ahead and planted all of the shrubs on the Ignite side, so that berm that you see out there that would be to the west, our staff went ahead and planted that, and they did a great job, and it was head up by Diet, who you'll meet here in a little bit. So we've got, we're about halfway through our annual plantings, which there's about 13,000 perennials and annuals they put out in all the parks. Again, Diet's heading that one up. She kind of took my role of being the flower person, and she's the one that's given everybody direction. But we're probably better than halfway through now, but we put those in this time of year every year. We've been doing it now for 20 some odd years. Let's see, we put up some flags along Northwest Boulevard, 50 flags. Those are us. It's not the street department. That's the Parks Department that does that. And then we put banners down East Sherman, about 25 of those. And we worked with the planning department to get those up for that revitalization on that east end of Sherman. So that was us taking care of that business. We put in our first, what we're calling round 1A, is a half application of fertilizer. We only put down 20,000 pounds. We'll have another round coming up here the first part of June. So that'll be 1B. And then we'll have another round in the summer. So we did all that, and then that's for both the cemetery and us too. We're scheduling with the county waterways to help us place our 15 buoys that go out. We'd like to try and get those in before Memorial Day. Sometimes they get there with us in time, but sometimes they're a little delayed, and it's usually after. But they'll be out shortly. If not this weekend, it'll be certainly next weekend. And then at Ramsey Park, this is for Memorial Day weekend. We've got a dry ice tournament, the 24th through the 26th. That's coming up. Thoco Field hosts a lumberman and a round robin tournament starting on the 24th through the 26th. Person Field hosts Little League the 24th and 25th. And then McEwen Park will host a marathon on the 25th and 26th, brought to you by the Centennial Trail Foundation. There'll be BMX races at Cherry Hill that same weekend. And then this last Sunday, Robert Cooper, who you'll meet here shortly, who runs our cemetery, recruited about 7 of our staff to mow 35 acres in the cemeteries to get it ready for Memorial Day weekend. So those guys went out early on Sunday and knocked it out in about a half a day. And then, so that's what we're doing there. And then a couple notes here. We've been talking with Terry Pickle, Water Department, and We're trying to save some water. We always have been. As you know, we run CalSense, and so that monitors what we use. But we're going to try and go to an every other day watering program in the parks that we can do that with. And then additionally, our splash pads, we're going to run them at a shorter time. They were previously run from 10 to 8 p.m. We're going to shorten that window from noon to 7. And so we're going to have signs up, and we're going to change the times. We'll put some little stickers on that, but we'll have a little note attached to the sign that's there that talks about when they're running. But we need to start saving our water, and so that's what we'll be doing with that one. And I think that's about it as far as updates. Any questions?
Yeah, Bill, can you give us a brief update on both the Atlas Park project and the Memorial Grandstands project?
So the Atlas site, I met with Phil Boyd and Del Hatch a few weeks ago to go over some of the elements within the park. We're working on the type of structure for the restroom facility. We're looking at where we're going to put the pump house. There's going to be a vendor a piece of that where someone can rent space to have kayaks, paddle boards, maybe bikes. I'm not certain what that space might be, but we're going to go ahead and put that pump house in with that building. And they've upsized the parking lot by about a third again, from the last time you may have seen it. The water feature has been removed per your request, so all of the items that you itemized and gave priority to are still there. And we're just trying to work on the details. We're even getting down into some plant varieties for erosion control along the embankment. We're looking at a couple of spots that we don't want people to go, so we're discussing using the native rose and even some blackberries to try and discourage people to get in there that will break that bank away. Both those species have a pretty good root, and so they'll help hold that, but also a pretty good thorn, so they're going to keep people out from getting into areas we don't want them to go. But so it's coming along slowly, and I think that I've asked Phil, I want to take a tour with you to go out on site. He's got some markers so that we can go to these places and he can say, here's where the parking lot is, here's where the beach is for the dogs, here's where the accessible launch is. And so we're going to try and get that together here in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
Oh, no, after you.
I was just going to ask, is there kind of with the schedule for putting documents out to bid and potential construction start, have those dates been discussed?
Early July is when they're hoping to go to post that to go to bid to advertise. And as, you know, like I said, I haven't talked to them in about 2 weeks or 10 days. So they're moving really fast and hard on it. And so when I have something more concrete, I can bring that back to you guys.
Christie?
Thank you, Scott. Bill, first of all, there's tons of native blackberries down there. You won't have to buy them.
Good.
Yeah. And then also, if it goes to bid in early July, will you break any ground this year?
Yes, we're hoping to, that we would take advantage of the low water. And so the repairs to the shoreline, that restoration for the shoreline, can be done from the top and the bottom. So there's some stuff that they'd have to lay in, some stone and some footings down below that shoreline and do that work. So the timing actually is much better with this delay. If you recall, some of this work was flipped upside down, as it were. We were thinking about getting a path in there before we started doing some of this work along the shoreline, and it just seemed backwards to me. And it turned out, with the delays that we've experienced, that's not going to happen now.
And so specifically, the dog park, will that get started this year?
I think the grading around there, where they were going to lay back that, but you're really anxious to get your animal out there, aren't you?
He doesn't swim. I just want to see the dog park.
So, yeah, the mass grading is going to take place, and that's where, when they showed you how they're going to peel that bank back and get back to that native ground, so all that'll take place. But as far as delineating where that dog park is with fencing, probably not this year, certainly in the spring and late spring next year.
Great, thanks.
And then the other question was, I'm sorry, Jenny.
That's okay. I'm wondering, since the parking lot's been expanded, do we have a total number of spots now?
Off the top of my head, I can't tell you, so I apologize, but it's increased by about a third. That was one of the things that I think you and others talked about, needing more. if you remember how that parking lot comes in, and there's our park shop was kind of at the bottom of that hill, they just expanded north rather than, they didn't want to encroach into the park like I kind of talked about before.
Right.
So they just pushed north, and there's another 38, I think.
Perfect, thank you.
And then we also reconfigured the, what was it, the food area for the food truck. We've made a couple changes there that actually allows the people to have a kind of a safe zone. So there's a bollard, and there's an area where the food trucks will come into, and that just in itself becomes a food court. So with these bollards at either end, the public can access those and just have, they're not in the parking lot, it's closed once the food trucks are in. So that was a change that we made that I thought was a really good one.
Thank you.
And the memorial grandstands, I'm taking
Yeah,
that to.
What's the schedule of that moving forward?
So I'm taking that to the council tomorrow night. There's been some pretty good changes that we made budget. And so with those changes, we're only $1,700 over budget. That additional funding will come out of Parks Capital. And that's what I've asked the council to approve, is to go ahead and move forward with that. So as soon as I can get this before council, I'd like to have Ignite, who is our funding partner, have a peek at that. And then as soon as we get the nod, hopefully within the next week or two, we can start moving on construction.
Is it going to interfere with any recreation programs scheduled for the summer?
We're using it up right now, and NIC was using it. And so as soon as we decide what that date is, we'll have to move our games all out to Ramsey. But Paul has been programming it, and we've been having our games there. So it'll just all shift out to Ramsey. I think Field 5 will be ready pretty soon. We had some work to do out there. Being on a liner out there, that liner has tendency at Ramsey Park, as you all know, we have a liner over the top of the dump out there. It has tendency to move and shift. And so the ground sometimes will have a bow in it and sometimes not. Well, we had a pretty good undulating spot out in center field. Jeff rallied the crews and they brought in, I don't know how much dirt, but we had to straighten up the fence line and bring in truckloads and truckloads of dirt, raise the irrigation heads and reseed it. So we're really close to taking care of that so that when we close Memorial, Field 5 will be open.
Great. Anything else for Bill? Thank you, Bill. Do any of the commissioners tonight have any comments or announcements?
Just
Christie?
one, thank you. Mr. Chair, Ron Ettinger wasn't here last month, and this commission nominated him and approved him for the Rock of Fame. We didn't get a chance to talk with you about it or thank you for your contribution all these years. I don't have the write-up in front of me, but I want you to know that we talked extensively about your contribution to the city of Coeur d'Alene, not only on the council, but the parks in specific. You helped save Tubbs Hill. You're part of the reason we have Tubbs Hill, Persons Field. We could walk all over this town and see Ron Ettinger did this and this and this. And so it's so important to us to honor you, Ron, for all that you've done for the Parks Department and the city of Coeur d'Alene. And when you walk down, hopefully in the Park Wynn this summer, Bill, he'll see his name on that rock.
We're waiting for it's about time. So the stone has to be a little warmer.
Okay.
It has tendency to chip and fracture. So we're gonna get it done here before July.
So thank you, Ron, for your contribution all these years.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Mr. Commissioner, I'd like to
Yeah,
add, the recreation side of it, Ron was a referee many times, and Ron, I want you to know I'm sorry for getting mad at you when you called me out at first base that time. I completely forgive you. I was wrong, I was out, and argue a little bit.
Okay.
Perfect.
Well,
Time
thank
to
you,
make
Christie.
amends.
Yeah. Does anyone in our audience want to present any public comments in front of the commission that isn't here for one of the agenda items? No. It's all your crew, Bill. Okay, we're going to get to our one and only action item now, Thorco agreement. The decision point tonight is whether to recommend to General Services the extension of the Thorco Field agreement by 1 year. The existing agreement with Thorco is for in-kind donation for work performed at Ramsey Park, installing lights in a field that Legion Baseball is currently using, now known as Thorco Field. No cost for the city to accept these naming rights. Thorco's current agreement is to end on June 30th, 2021. They are asking to extend this agreement by 1 year in lieu of a payment in the amount of $2,190 for work performed in the rescue of an osprey at McEwen Park. It was brought to our attention on July 3rd, 2018, one of the baby osprey in one of the nests at McEwen seemed to be tangled in fishing line. We contacted raptor biologist Janie Veldkamp of Birds of Prey Northwest for assistance. On July 5th, Janie determined the bird was tangled and not moving correctly. We then contacted Thorco to see if they could help with the rescue of the baby osprey. The team of Tom and Nick Klein of Thorco arrived with a lift and with Janie's help removed the bird, and Janie took little McEwen back to her facility to recover before being returned back to the nest. I received a call from Janie on July 20th that the bird was ready to be returned to the nest. So I called Thorco once again, and they helped with the safe return of little McEwen. Again, the decision tonight or recommendation would be whether to recommend to General Services the extension of the Thorco Field Agreement by 1 year. And this, again, is for the naming rights.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Tate and seconded by Commissioner Ettinger to recommend to General Services the extension of Thorco Field Agreement by 1 year. Is there any discussion?
I guess I'd just make one comment. Thorco this isn't the first time they've been willing to step up and help out when we needed something, so they've always been a real good partner, and I think it's good to recognize that and recognize them in the naming of the field, or continuing that.
It's been a wonderful way they supported the community and
Yeah.
parks projects.
So I don't recall, did we play the tape or the video that Jeff Crow put together here? Did we watch that
I don't
together?
think we've
No?
done it in any of our meetings.
Okay. So if you were to type in Little McEwen, that's what Janie named the bird. Jeff Crow put together a marvelous video from the rescue to the return. And if you have an opportunity to look it up on YouTube, you can find it real easily. It's on our site as well. I thought that I brought it in to share with you guys, but I guess it was something else I was thinking about. But anyway, it was very nice that Janie came in and helped us. The animal, the bird was taken to my office where they gave it some antibiotics and water, and they kept it for about 10 days before Thorco came back to help put it back in the nest. So it was a good thing to do, and you're absolutely right, Commissioner McDowell, that they step up time and time again and have been very helpful for us.
Now, Bill, has little McEwen been back to see us
We-
around?
He's been banded, and so we don't know without going up there and checking out the bands. But, yeah, so there were 3 animals in the nest, 3 birds in the nest. While we were there, we went ahead and took out the other 2 and banded them as well, and then put everybody back, and everybody was fine. So they all survived that year and flew off to Mexico.
Perfect.
One other question. What would be the search under YouTube to take a look at the
Little McEwen,
little McEwen?
Rescue
Okay.
Little McEwen in McEwen Park, or CDA, is how I found it.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Melissa, that motion is unanimous, and I guess, Bill, that goes to General Services?
It might, if there's enough on general services, it may go directly to council, so yes.
Very good. Well, our next and last agenda item is your show, Bill. You're going to give a presentation of kind of a personnel overview and how the park system works, so
Right.
take it away.
So it had occurred to me, we get all kinds of praise about how nice our parks look, and they do look nice. And I was hopeful that when I became director, I could roll people in so you guys could see the faces and the people that actually do the heavy lifting and all the work. Some of these folks have areas that they won't be bringing things to you, so they would never have a chance to see them. So it occurred to me I needed to do this instead. And so that's what we're here to do, is I'm going to show you an overview of our park system and how it's laid out in town in areas. And so each one of these individuals are assigned to an area and they're responsible for it. And the thought is I'd have them come up, say a little bit about themselves, about how long they've worked for us, and any information they want to share with you. I said it's up to you guys what you want to do. So with that, I'll go ahead and start the PowerPoint and start bringing people up. And I think let's keep it loose. If you have questions, ask them right then and there. There's 7 areas, and so each one of those areas, a group of people will come up and talk to you about that.
Great.
Okay?
Okay.
So this is a quick overview on we maintain 587 acres that include 30 parks, 258 acres of natural open space, 50 miles of pedestrian and bike paths, 9 miles of hiking trails. And last season we had 124,000 plus folks having reservations and for over 7,000 hours of use. We also maintain areas that are non-park. We handle the police station, the fire stations, the Ramsey Swales, Gibbs Island, 23rd and Sherman. And I'm certain somebody will remind me what I've forgotten, but we do a lot of other stuff besides parks. We have just this year and last, on these areas, we've been having difficulty finding staff, seasonal staff. And so we then began last year outsourcing some of these non-park areas. But nonetheless, they're still our responsibility, even though, so we're managing those contracts and still have oversight. If the labor force ever comes back where we can get people again, we will probably do it ourselves. But in the meantime, that's what we're doing. The recreation side, and then we back up here. All this stuff, all these miles, we do snow removal, not the street department. So every parking lot, every park, every loop trail, every pathway, every sidewalk in a municipal building, this one, City Hall, police station, anywhere in the parks, we take care of that. This staff is up at 3:30 in the morning to look out the window to see whether or not it's time to come in and do snow, and they'll stay till it's done. And so I can't remember how many days in a row that they had in February. What was it, 20, 15 days in a row without stopping? So that's how dedicated they are. But that's a piece of this. We talk about mowing and all this stuff, but when it's snowing, these folks are out there really, really doing a great job.
Bill, in addition to the snow removal, your department also takes care of maintenance of all city-owned parking lots, don't they?
Correct. So that's part of it. And I had a stat somewhere that Mike Kimpton had given me, and I lost it, but it was the amount of asphalt parking lots in acres. And then again, so Monty goes out and does this new piece of Celtice, for example, and you'll see this slide coming up. But all those miles are his. So he gets up at 4 in the morning and he runs out on his machine and he's gone pretty much all day. And then he comes back at the end of the day and it snows, he starts all over again. So that's the same way true with all of the parking lots as well. So on the recreation side, 24 regularly scheduled programs, 6,000 participants, another 4,000 citizens served for special events and tournaments. The cemetery, we provide maintenance for 22 acres, both the cemeteries, Riverview and Forest. And then additionally, those guys maintain, and you'll see this coming up, the Government Way Islands. That's their responsibility as well. And so these are the number of burials that they performed, 137. And currently we have just shy of 18,000 internments. Urban forest, 22,000 street trees. You'll see that come up on the map. It's kind of impressive to see how many trees that we manage and take care of. And then building 40 city-owned buildings totaling 214,000 square feet. That's just the overview. So now to go into the individual people that do the work. So this is Area 1. So this is Mike Kimpton. Mike oversees Mark Walter and Jared Odell. And so this is all the waterfront corridor that these individuals have to maintain. They have some seasonal help, but these are the men that take care of this. So once you guys come on up. So Mike Kimpton's our lead, and Jared and Mark work for him under his supervision. So with that, gentlemen, I'll let you talk about your space a little bit.
Hi, we've met before. I've been here since 2007. I've worked almost all the areas of the city, and I've been at the waterfront for the last several years. The waterfront primarily consists of City Park and McEwen Park, Memorial Park, and some satellite areas, and we basically divide it in half. Jared Odell recently took over maintenance of McEwen Park, the day-to-day operations. Jared's been with us as a full-time employee for
4 years.
4 years now.
Going on 4 years.
And Mark Walter's been with us longer. He's been at City Park almost his entire career here.
About 5.5 years.
5.5 years for Mark. Everybody has specialties in the department. These two guys have been very reliable. Jared was recently in charge of Area 2, which we call the 15th Street corridor, and was transferred to McEwen Park. Jared, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Push right.
No, you don't have to.
Okay, I just thought I'm pushing a button.
Speak to the mic.
Okay, just speak to the mic. Hi, my name's Jared Odell, and I've actually lived in Coeur d'Alene for the last 4 years since I've come on full-time. I'm a full-time arborist as well. I help out with the Urban Forestry Department and any of the other parks that need assistance with trimming trees or planting trees and things like that. Like Mike has said, I have recently been down to McEwen, which I've absolutely loved so far. I have some pretty big shoes to fill because, you know, Larry's done an incredible job down there. So I just say hello and very glad to meet you guys. Thank you.
Pleasure, thank you.
You bet.
Some of Jared's other areas of responsibility are Sanders Beach, Jewett House, East Tubbs Park, and Rotary site on 23rd and Sherman. And this is Mark Walter. Mark, you want to say a few words?
Hi, my name is Mark Walter. I spend most of my days down at City Park. We've had a lot going on down there as far as the new projects, as you all well know, the skate park and everything. And everything seems to be going well so far. The pickleball players, they beat us to work, so some days. But yeah, I've been here 5.5 years. I have a wife, and I got 2 kids, and I got 3 grandkids. So anytime I take off from work on vacation, I usually go see my grandchildren. So, but that's about all I got. So it's nice to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
Mark came to us from Twin Falls. He worked for Parks and Rec over there for many, many years. I came from Orange County, Florida, where I had 21 years of experience. All of us have specialties. At the waterfront corridor, you'll see us a lot because we work special events constantly this time of year. We got the marathon next week. The week after, we have major events at both McEwen and City Park. You know, we do the 4th of July celebration, the Taste of Coeur d'Alene, all those. And so it's basically a combination of maintenance of the parks and dealing with all the special events and the people and what happens in the parks.
Well, with all the events that happen in the summer downtown, along the waterfront and the parks, you probably don't get your vacation time this time of year, do you?
Oh, we try to get some in. There are some days we don't get off. Nobody gets off the 4th of July. Mark also takes care of Fire Station 1 and Fire Admin, too. So I just wanted to add that.
So don't walk off. A couple things. These 2 gentlemen, Mark and Jared, as most of our staff, were seasonals. We recruit from within. And Mike, myself, and I think Monty are the only ones that weren't seasonals. Is that correct? I think I'm about right with that. Jared is just more than an arborist. He is one of our arborists. And so Jared is learning to climb, and he was an arborist in his previous life. Most of our folks hold different sorts of certification. Mark's a backflow technician. So all of our double checks, our backflows, he's one of, Jeffrey, help me out, 4? 5. We have 5. And so Mike has been real handy. He's working now with Monty on writing our Parks Master Plan. As you recall, a few years back, Mike was the one that brought to you the open space plan. And so he's really good at that. So we certainly lean on his strengths and exploit those the best we can. So just a little bit more about those individuals.
And I spent a lot of time doing large-scale herbicide application, too. So.
All of our staff is certified to spray pesticides. So everybody has a CDL as well.
Great.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for the
Thank you.
presentation.
Thanks, guys.
So area
At 2, this is Mr. Larry Walter, overseen by Diet Harrelson. So Diet and Larry, come on up. So I mentioned Diet earlier. This is she's the lady that's in control of those 13,000 annuals and perennials that are going out. So that's all her. And Mr. Walter's expertise in a previous life is he's an excellent carpenter. And so we have, on numerous occasions, tapped him for that resource. So with that, go ahead and share a little about what you guys do.
I've been with the Parks Department since '99. I started as a seasonal, and then in 2014, I got on full-time. And when I came on full-time, I was in charge of McEwen when it was starting up, and then they moved me out where I was in charge of Area 2 and 3. And Larry just this year took over Area 2, and he's been doing a good job. And
Hello, my name is Larry Walters. I've been here since 2008. I was a seasonal, I believe, 1 year.
More than that.
Well, okay. That kind of, okay, well, anyway. I was kind of full-time, but anyway, so I've been 5 years now full-time. And as you heard earlier, I used to work here in Waterfront. I was in Waterfront for the first 11 years and just got moved out to Area 2. So learning a lot and enjoying it, enjoying a little break and working hard. So, thank you.
Larry, what are some of the facilities in Area 2 that you maintain?
Starts at Fippany. We do Fippany. I do Fippany, Bryan, Cherry Hill Fire Station, Sunset Park, still learning all these parks here. Canfield, Shattuck, and North Pines. So,
And Brian.
and Bryan. Yeah, I think I said Bryan, but anyway. So
So you log a few miles.
yeah, do a lot different than just being here at McEwen every day, all day, but yeah, a little different.
And then summer's busy for him because the Little Leaguers use Canfield quite a bit. And then there's big pickleball tournaments that go on at Cherry Hill. And then BMX is
and
really busy.
soccer fields and baseball fields also as well. So.
And did you say, Bill, they're do perennials and annuals? That's what you're in charge of, Dee, is ordering all those?
Yes,
Who puts them all in? You guys put them all?
the whole
Wow,
Crew.
that's a lot.
And D, are the deer getting to be more of a problem for you?
on Area 2, yes. So marigolds seem to be pretty deer-proof, but otherwise, in Area 2, petunias.
They love
Don't-
petunias.
Yeah.
Wow, impressive.
Thanks, guys.
Well, thank you both.
Thank you.
Yet you don't get to go away yet. We really work her hard. She also oversees Area 3. So Dave, come on up. So this is Dave McCurdy. He works for Diet. She oversees, this area is primarily Ramsey. Ben, I'll let you go ahead and speak to your area.
Ramsey keeps us busy with baseball and tournaments, and then we'll have the kids during the summer, the Skyhawk camps. And then I also have Riverstone, which coming up June, I've got a lot of weddings that are going to be taking place down there, plus the reservations for that, for other things, is pretty heavy. And then also Winton, and Winton is, they have the horseshoe tournaments, and we've already had one horseshoe tournament, and another one's coming up in early June, so that keeps us busy, as well as the I-90 interchange and the Northwest Boulevard Islands and everything.
Dave McCurdy, go ahead and talk about yourself a little bit.
Hi, I'm Dave McCurdy. I've been with the city for 5 years now. My first 2 years as a seasonal, 3 years now as full-time. Spent my first year in Area 2, and then I moved to Area 3. Learned a lot in the last 5 years, especially with irrigation and groundwork. You know, that was kind of new to me, but Yeah, it's amazing, all the different things that we do in our field. I had no idea when I started working here how much we did hands-on, but it's pretty amazing the things I've learned here. But it's been great and continue to work hard at it.
So Dave, if you ever had a chance to get out to Ramsey Park, I didn't keep the picture, but he rebuilt, there was a sign up there at parking lot 1. Dave did that. He took, it was all deteriorating, took off the sign and then rebuilt the whole thing, did a fabulous job. I didn't know that he had that talent, so I had to let him know that now he's going to get tapped to build another one for Riverstone. But again, this is another individual who's in his past life had another trade that we're exploiting a lot. He was an excellent welder, certified, and he's been on some welding projects, and he's on one right now. And I was looking at his handiwork today, and it's just it's a piece of art is what it is. And so it's nothing more than a lid, but his welds are phenomenal. So good on you, Dave.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Dave, thank you.
Mr. Andrews, come on down. So I think Bill has been, out of this entire crew outside of me, the longest tenured person for the Parks Department. He goes back, tell us, Bill, how long as a seasonal? Were you here for ice storm and the Mount eruption?
Yeah.
Yep.
I started with the Parks Department in 1993, and I became full-time in the year 2000. So I did seasonal work for that 7 years. And I kind of worked in almost every park that there is. So
Currently, you're assigned to where? What's your area?
Area 4, which consists of part of the Ramsey Swells, Bluegrass Park, Coeur d'Alene Soccer Complex, Sunshine Meadows, Landings Park, also the new Fire Station 4, Northshire Park, and Johnson Mill River Park.
So were you here for ice storm and you worked to like 12, 14 hours a day and slept at the shop? That's the story?
Yeah, sort of. No, it was actually during the ice storm, they called me back in to work and decided that they were going to keep me on year-round for seasonal work from 97 until it was year 2000. So
Very cool.
long time.
Great. Thank you so
That's
much.
great.
Thank
Thanks, Bill. Monty McCulley, he's our trails coordinator. You guys are familiar with Monty, but this gives you an idea of all the areas that he's responsible for.
Good evening. So I'm Monty McCulley. I've been with the city for 12 years, since 2007. I'm originally from Moscow. Actually went to high school with Jared Odell. So we take care of, we have 50 miles of trails in the city, but we take care of about 21, 22 miles. Snow plowing, like Bill mentioned, we also mow them at this time of year. Mow the Prairie Trail, Centennial Trail, Atlas Trail, Kathleen Trail. We also take care of Tubbs Hill, Fernand Lake Natural Open Space, Canfield Mountain Open Space. And we do 4th Street Roundabout, a bunch of the different natural areas that aren't, they're more non-park areas. So our crew at this time of year is pretty much starting mowing, takes about 2 weeks, and they start over again. And once that slows down later in the summer, when grass starts to grow slower, we take on all kinds of other projects, fixing up the trails, getting new trails built, doing signs, any kind of project they need us to do. Last year we moved the dog park, work on drinking fountain splash pads, or not splash pads, but misters and things like that for the skate park.
Monty is real talented in PowerPoint. He did this for me. Any PowerPoint that I do, it's Monty, it's not me. I take hours. He does it in 10 minutes. So he's also helping write our master plan. He is real talented on the computer, and there's just about there's not anything that he hasn't tried. You should go out to this dog park at North Shore when we moved it. We moved from that one location that you guys saw, and we moved it to the other one around the courts. He was given that task to run herd on that, and he did. And he never had laid brick before. So we did a brick entrance. It was Jeff Erickson's idea. We had some brick that we had taken out from downtown and repurposed those brick. Monty did the work in there, cutting the stuff and doing it all, and it's phenomenal. He did a really nice job. So there's nothing that he puts his hand to, he puts his mind to it, he gets it done. Because he's a really talented guy.
And Monty used to do parks day and night and help me with movie night in the park. I've worked with a lot of these guys, but it's so great to see what your area of responsibility. It's huge. Thank you.
Thanks, Monty.
Yep, thank you, Monty.
Mr. Cooper and DJ. We had a vacancy in our cemetery with Nick Goodwin taking Katie's position. Nick was our lead in the cemetery, and Robert was the second in the cemetery. We just hired him to take over in the cemetery as the lead worker, and we're very pleased that he's available to do that. He's a very, very strong guy who works really, really hard. When he first came to work for us, there's a story we tell about Robert. We had some footings we had to break off of some fence posts. Robert single-handedly took those off like, Paul Bunyan, knocking the stuff off these things, and he enjoyed every minute of it. But he's a good hand in the field, and he was one of the guys that was out there on Sunday mowing. And the reason the cemetery looks as good as it does are these gentlemen right here. They're the ones that make it happen. So anyway, Robert, talk about your place.
Hello. I started back in April 2011 as a seasonal. I was regular seasonal for about 6 months, and then I became a year-round seasonal till approximately, I think, 2014. Then I was a actual full-time employee. I've spent my entire career in the cemetery. Until last year, I spent, 3 months?
Right.
3 months working for irrigation. Nick Goodwin transferred out of the cemetery. So I offered to come back, and they accepted.
Yes, we did.
So now here I am. I have my backflow certification. Unlike most of the employees here, I don't get to travel a whole lot. I'm in a small area, so my backflow kind of helps me get out and see the sights. DJ?
DJ's his helper, and DJ's also a full-timer.
Indeed. My name is DJ Richardson, Danny J. Richardson. This is my 5th summer with the Parks Department. This will be my first. I got promoted back in November to work with Robert. All my training here in the Parks Department has been under Robert as my mentor, and as Nick Goodwin as well, being the previous lead of the cemetery. I've been up here in Idaho for 13 years. Got an 8-year-old boy, and my girlfriend and I, and my son, we all visit the parks and love them, but I especially love working in Riverview and Forest Cemetery. It's very proud to do so. It is one, I'm a little biased, but I do believe it's one of the more beautiful cemeteries that we have, in this nation. And thank you kindly.
Thank you.
DJ's one of our newest employees for the Parks Department. This is the first time you've done anything like this, right?
Oh yeah, maintenance work. It was mostly customer service or warehouse manufacturing.
And he stepped in, and he's come a long way since he started. One of the things that he's really good at his job that is probably one of the hardest things that we have to do in the cemetery is meet with families. At times we have to meet with people hours after their loved one passes and walk them around. And people don't think clearly, and you need to be very level-headed, patient, and kind. And DJ is very good at that.
That's why we chose him. He's got a real nice demeanor with our customers, and he's been a great fit for us.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Well, I would like to thank you. You've taken care of a lot of my relatives.
It's a privilege, ma'am.
Robert, DJ, thank you. And DJ, you're right. Riverview and Forest are beautiful cemeteries.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They really are.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. On this one, because this is the one I want to promote, I've asked for a new position. So as you see, we're growing. And this corridor, we're calling a Celtice corridor. And I'm asked this year whether it's going to be funded or not is to be seen. But I've asked for another lead worker who is going to take over. We're going to shift a few things around. You saw where Diet and Dave take care of Riverstone. That Riverstone would then fall under this person's reign or oversight. And it would take in Mill River, the new park that's being developed for next year, Atlas Mill, and would go all the way down to Mill River. And it would also, there's some landscaping along that Celtice corridor with the roundabouts and on the sides of those streets. They would take care of that. And so I just put that up there so you'll know that we're looking for another area. And I can answer any questions about that.
Is one person enough?
No.
Well, we'll remember that.
So the reason I take baby steps, I don't want to be greedy. I don't want to over ask. And so I let everybody know that we'll be coming back to the well because that person will need a second person, like a helper as a full-timer. And then we'll also need to plug in 2, if not 3 seasonals, depending on how extensive the planning for the Atlas Mill site is. I think it's going to be pretty extensive. And so it's going to be, what we're seeing today is that, you know, the 30-acre park at Ramsey is pretty easy to maintain. It's a lot of acreage, but we can mow it pretty quick. Tom Meek, who you'll see in a moment, his and his team go out there and mow that in about a half a day. This park, half the size, a lot more intensive. And so that's what we're seeing in today's parks. And so Celtice and that Atlas Mill site is going to be that kind of level of detail, I believe. And so we'll need more people. So it may be 3 seasonals out there. And let's see here. This is Mr. Nick Goodwin, who took Katie's position as urban forester. This is what Nick oversees as far as the number of trees in our city. Roy, I want to talk about you being in the cemetery first.
Oh, okay.
So, again, we always capitalize on people's past lives. Nick you were doing sheet metal?
Yeah, I was in the golf course industry when I was really young, about 15 when I started in the golf course industry and did that seasonally. I took an apprenticeship in HVAC, and I am also a card-carrying journeyman in HVAC. I did that for 6 years.
So all the swinging benches out here in McEwen?
You're not kidding your mic, Bill.
Oh, sorry, my finger came off. Sorry, Lord. So Nick did all the sheeting on top of that. He's done some work in the shop, so we always tap him for that sort of stuff, and he knocks it out, does a great job. He was initially the lead in the cemetery, and then he interviewed. We had 43 or 44 applicants for Katie's old position, and Nick applied, and out of all those candidates, Nick was the better fit, and he's doing a great job in her position. And he's taken it over and done. I'm just so pleased. And he fills in for Mel, as Katie did in the past. He understands the cemetery very well, so that was really critical to us. And so when she's gone, he steps in and handles the front desk for us. With that, it's all yours.
Great. Hello, it's a pleasure to be in front of the commission again. As we already talked about, I spent some time in some other industries before I came to the Parks Department. I've been here since 2011. I started as kind of a temporary full-time, but I was a temporary full-time employee, but it was unbenefited. So technically, I was sort of a seasonal when I started. I came in at a very good, fortunate time for myself. Jeff Erickson, who ran the cemetery and was with the cemetery for a long time before I came in, he moved on to the irrigation technician, and I was able to be promoted to lead after I'd been here for about 6 months. So it was something big to take on, and these gentlemen helped me learn that position. And I did that for 8 years, and I really enjoyed it. Saw the opportunity to become urban forester here last December. I had really gotten involved in tree work, became an arborist in 2014. The city, Bill Greenwood, helped pay for studying some arboriculture classes in Spokane for me. Really appreciated that and really
grew to love doing tree work and working with trees. Anyway, but I've been there now since December, and my shoes are starting to fit a little better every day, I feel like, in that position, something I really enjoy. Katie was a very small person, but her shoes were enormous. I'm pretty amazed at how big they are. But I really enjoy working at the City of Coeur d'Alene. I can't say enough how much I love working with this team behind me, including my supervisors. It makes me really proud to stand up and see the two guys who were seasonally for me standing up here today and drive by what they do every day and see how beautiful that place is. Gives me a lot of pride personally. As far as the trees go, mainly what I do is administrative, which was a big role change for me. But I'm enjoying it. I'm hoping that as time goes on, we'll do more and more in-house work. I give some talented people behind me that get out and plant trees and do the work that I need them to do when I ask them to do it, involving pruning. I also have a seasonal, works for me, and she's doing a great job as well. We're hoping to put on some more I'm hoping to put on some more educational programs. We're talking about it with the Urban Forestry Committee this winter, and talking with Bill about that. Maybe put on some public forums for pruning next year. And I'm in talks with the Coeur d'Alene Press about trying to get a monthly newsletter going to them to run and teach the public about trees. With that, I could probably talk for a long time, but happy to field any questions you have.
Can I ask about the tree pruning? That would be fantastic if you do something like that for public, because I try to do my own, and so, there's good years and bad years.
We had at our Arbor Day celebration, we had a planting demonstration, and it was a really good opportunity. I treated it more of a planting class than anything else. The turnout wasn't great. The weather was really pretty foul, but the people that were there, I really had a lot of positive feedback. They really enjoyed that aspect of learning. I think people really want to learn how to take care of trees. It's just a lot of them don't even know where to start, and it's complicated, but you can teach them some simple things that really help, and I'm hoping to.
Great, I'll keep in touch with you then. Perfect.
Anything else, sir? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So with that, this is all areas of responsibility. Now, there's a few people here that weren't mentioned because they don't really have a specific area. They do it all. And Melissa Brandt, I'd like you to come up to the podium, please. So Melissa, you all know, came back to us from a little, 6 years between?
Yeah, I think it was about that.
About that time. We'd be dead in the water without her. I would probably have lost my job. She is that integral in what I do every day. She is the best thing that's happened to our department. Our staff back here, just when she goes on vacation, they worry. No, something's going to go wrong because she does everything. And I just can't give her enough credit for everything that she does. We got a great team, and she does a wonderful, wonderful job. I just wanted to recognize you because I don't think you really get the kind of credit you should have. So I wanted the commissioners to know that.
Yeah. Well, Melissa is always here, kind of shepherding through all of our commission meetings, and she's kind of behind the scenes that you don't get to see her, but just appreciate, really how detailed and quickly even the meeting minutes come back.
Right.
And
She's phenomenal.
Keep all the information out in front of us, so.
And you ought to see her in the office.
Appreciative.
I mean, the multitasking she does, she's so pleasant on the phone. I don't think I could be that pleasant with some of our customers. She does just a great job at handling walk-in customers and my requests, and then people on the phone, and it's great. You're wonderful. I just want to thank you.
Thanks, Melissa.
So another team that we talked about is the building department, not the building department, building division. So that's Howard Gould and Mr. Joe Pounds, LB. And these guys handle all of our buildings.
Don't they have to
They didn't have an area, that's why they have this big slide. So there you go.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Howard Gould. I think I know most of y'all, and I think most of y'all know who I am. I've been here since 2005. We do the building maintenance for all city buildings, which is a very large task and seems to grow every year. We just inherited the 4th Street parking garage and stuff like that, as well as the new fire station, naturally. Looking over the ball field for the memorial grandstands and looking at that and being part of that. Yeah, we do as much as we can, and it's nonstop. And I have Joe Pounds here, who is my right-hand man. Believe me, without him, I'd be dead in the water, because I'm always pulled into meetings and stuff like that, and Joe's able to get out in the field and take care of a lot of the work out there. So I appreciate Joe. Joe's been here from 07? 07? Yep, 07. And he was part-time, only 19 hours a week, and we was able to bring him on full-time 5 years ago, was it?
Yes.
Yes, 5 years ago. Great asset, does a lot of work for us, and we enjoy it. Been working for the city, like I said, since 05. Really enjoy it. Great place to work for, beautiful place. So, Joe, you got anything?
I assist Howard in all areas of building maintenance. It's not my background, maintenance, but I've learned a lot from him. Howard's a very, very dedicated man and a real asset to the city. I also oversee 6 custodians and the floor care specialist for all of our buildings.
Now, when I retired 3 years ago, but we tried to keep you at the police department full-time. We didn't like to share you at all. How are they treating you now?
Very good.
Very good?
Very good,
Okay,
thank
good.
you. It's a pleasure to work for all the different buildings in the city, and the police department is special, because you really feel like it's a kind of a privilege to serve up there.
Oh, that's nice.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Another individual who has all of this area is Andrew Godley. He's our irrigation technician. And so, Andrew, come on up. So what Andrew does is well, I'll let you tell him what you do. I won't bother.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Andrew Godley. Been with the Parks Department for 2 years. This is going on my 3rd season now. First season I was a seasonal, was promoted last year. So my main responsibilities include basically spring startups of all of our parks' water systems, fall blowouts, ensuring that all water reaches our valves, troubleshooting of the valves, fixing of the valves, mainline breaks, installing new clocks, installing new irrigation systems, and backflow testing as well.
And managing the CalSense program.
Yes, and managing our water management software, CalSense.
So what Andrew does, he delivers the water from the main to the valve. And all these folks here take it from the valve downstream. That means the irrigation head adjustment, that kind of thing. Any clock that isn't CalSense, this team behind Andrew handles their own clocks. The CalSense clocks he handles. And we have 12?
Yeah, we just deleted one today.
Okay. We have 11 then.
We have 11. So yeah, that's it.
Thanks.
Pleasure meeting all you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. So one of the things that we do that everybody knows about, because that's what primarily parks are, is grass. And you have to have somebody mow the grass. And so Tom Meek, come on up and meet the commissioners. Tom's been, he is overseen by Jeff Erickson, but he pretty much runs the mow crew. So he's hitting it. He mows everything you saw on the screen in 4.5 days?
4.5 days.
Okay. And then the half day is maintenance, getting ready for the next week.
My name's Tom Meek. I've been a full-timer for 5 years now. I started in 2010. Like I said, I mow me and 3 other guys mow all of the acreage that the city has, with the exception of City Park and the memorial. My guys are the guys that make me look good. I just tell them where to go and they go do it, which is I've had probably the best crew I've ever had this year, so it's been a pleasure. During the winter, as everybody knows, we plow snow, and I fix whatever they break. I've been a mechanic for 32, 33 years, and that's kind of my job during the winter, is to fix everything that over the season gets worn out and broke, we put it back together and then put it back into service.
So he's a phenomenal welder as well. He can fix things. We went portable, which is really nice, so that out in the field he can go out and fix stuff and get it home so we can really fix it. But in the past, we had to rely on the street department. And now we're relying on Mr. Meek here to take care of that for us. And he does a great job. He orders parts for stuff and all our equipment, so I get to see invoices for throwout bearings and shocks and springs and tires and whatever else that he has to pick up to make things run. So he's a good hand. He's a very good hand.
So tell him, are you kind of headquartered out of the maintenance shop facility over by Forest
No,
Cemetery?
right at our Parks Department shop by the cemeteries.
Yeah.
And we just did an expansion there, so we were able to knock out a wall and add, was it about 30 feet? About 30 feet, and they were all sharing a little cubicle area, about a 10-foot spot. They were all sharing computer terminals, so we were able to stretch everybody out and give a little bit more breathing room so they could, not. Tom needs his own computer because he's on it enough with all the ordering that he does. But anyway, he's done a great job, and he's a great asset.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
And last but not least, because he doesn't have his own area, he has all this area, is Jeff Erickson, our new superintendent. So Jeff took over from Sam when Sam left, and Sam took over from me when I left and came here. So with that, you can just talk about your woes or your fun or your not fun.
My woes.
Woes and troubles.
So I was one of the employees Bill talked about that started as a seasonal in 99. I've worked for Bill for 20 years. Man.
It's like a marriage.
So I was a seasonal in the cemetery, and then I became a maintenance worker in the cemetery for, you'll have to forgive me, I've moved around so many areas. I think it was 12 years, And then I was lucky enough to take the irrigation technician job. And then the opportunity came up last year to become the superintendent, which for me, that was a tough choice. It's a lot of responsibility, it's a lot of work. But what swayed my decision is the folks sitting behind me, because I couldn't ask for a better crew. I mean, you all see the results in these parks. You won't see more dedicated, hardworking, great people. So I want to thank them for making me and Bill look so good.
Yep, and that's why I wanted you to see them, because, we, as I said earlier, we hear all the praises about our parks, but it's these folks that make it happen, and they're day in and day out, and I know that they miss birthdays and they miss, special occasions at home because they're that dedicated. When things happen, they're there. And I just wanted you to see them so you'll know who our staff really is.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
So much.
yeah, let's do it. All right, standing
Oh,
ovation.
standing O, yeah.
Thank you.
Nice.
Well, you hit it on the head there, Bill, the dedication, and after big events, the 4th of July or Ironman, they're out there once those events are done and everything gets restored and put back together. Wonderful.
Yeah, I'm blessed, I truly am.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, go ahead.
could I say something? Yeah. Hey, I just want to say, guys, I've been on the Park and Rec Commission for a long time. So proud of our parks. Lately, I've had the opportunity to travel quite a bit. I check out the parks everywhere. Last park I checked out a couple of weeks ago was Central Park in New York, and all their parks, my wife and I walked about 50 miles. There's no parks I've seen anywhere that come close to the care, the maintenance, the beauty of the parks. So thank you from me, but there's one more new thing. I now see parks through the eyes of my 2-year-old grandson. We're starting to visit every park. He's learned to say Fippany Park. He loves it. And so I have a new appreciation watching his enjoyment of everything you guys do. The parks are in phenomenal condition. He has so much fun. So thank you from my family.
Ginny?
I too would like to thank you. Not only have you taken care of my deceased relatives, but when my kids were in high school, the Parks Department gave them the opportunity to work, and they came home many a sweaty day. I never had any problems with them. They were tired when they came home, and I appreciate as hard as you worked them. So for those of you who might recall Matt and Steve Petrosky, they're my sons. They worked for a couple of years. And I too travel extensively for work, and from just this last weekend in Boise to North Carolina to Florida to Texas to Louisiana to DC, there is not a park I have seen that stands up to what you guys present. Thank you.
Very nice.
First of all, Bill, great program. Thank you for putting it together.
Thank you.
And I would just kind of like to add that all the parks, public open spaces, and our public buildings, first of all, from community members here, they've always had nothing but positive comments and pride in how these facilities look. And it's always usually the first and most lasting impression or reflection on the city from visitors that come to town. So, again, congratulations.
Thank you, our
Just
pleasure. We
Phenomenal
enjoy it.
team.
Really nice.
You bet. I guess as long as we're going around, I'll just mention one thing. First of all, I would agree with everything that everybody said. I'm born and raised here in Coeur d'Alene, and so grew up playing on Brian Playfield in the Thumper Baseball League back in 100 years ago. But the thing that impresses me most is the amount of innovation that you see in the use of the parks and the maintenance of the parks, and how people really appreciate what we do there. And you guys do a phenomenal job of staying up with it and staying ahead of it in many cases. And we work with the Taste, and of course City Park is just a gem. And I couldn't think of a better place to do that. And so, congratulations, well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've been chiming in all along, but I worked with many of you, and all those days that you didn't get to go to the birthday party or what have you, because we were doing some city event, I totally empathize with you. But you're just also professional. Whenever the police department needs something roped off or sectioned off, or a picnic bench moved or anything, garbage cans for movie night, you're just right there. So you're wonderful, and everything looks beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, Bill.
Well, there's one change to your workshop.
I saw that.
Did you see that? Good, okay, I'll let you.
see if I get it right.
Yeah.
Any more comments or announcements?
Yeah, I'd like to just say that I haven't lived here all my life. Most of my life I have, but I've been up here on the council for a number of years, and I think that you guys do the best job, excellent job, and I'm just very proud that I can say that Coeur d'Alene, the city of Coeur d'Alene, is my city, and the parks are a great, something that we can all the citizens of Coeur d'Alene can be proud of. And the cemetery, I think that is taken care of very well. So I want to thank you guys very much. Appreciate everything you do. And hopefully we can give Bill that other person this next year.
I hope so
And
too.
then,
Go, Ron.
Then
Go get 'em.
Christie can try for the others as they come forward.
Gotta love that plug. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Ron. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close out the agenda then, Bill, with a couple of meeting announcements. Our next workshop will be held Tuesday, June 4th, 11:30 a.m., and this change of venue here will be Forest Cemetery between Section C and E.
That's correct.
Okay.
I'll just fill you in a little bit what that's about. We've done this a couple of times in the past where we visited parks. we're going to be doing something innovative in the cemetery, and we want to share that with you.
Great.
So we'll meet there. We'll have lunch provided by us, and then we'll have some picnic tables, and we'll talk about what it is that we see the future of our cemetery and how we've put it in place for the next probably 30, 40 years. Yeah.
Great.
So we'd like to share that with you guys.
And I think that's a great idea. I know a few years ago, during the warmer, nicer summer months, that we've tried to get out and have some of these
have 'em at
workshops
different
out in our
parks,
park
yeah,
facilities. So I'd try to like to do that again,
like to
you know,
do
for our summer workshops, so.
Is that the June 4th that you're talking about?
Correct,
Will be
yeah.
at Forest?
It'll be at Forest, correct.
Oh, wonderful.
Could you say that again? It's the cemetery at,
Forest Cemetery between section C and E. Tuesday, the 4th, 11:30. And then finally, our next regular monthly commission meeting will be Monday, June 17th, 5:30, right here in the library community room.
The only thing that we have pending is I reached out to John Mueller, who was working on the Midway. Have not heard back from him yet on where he is in that design. So if he's not far enough along, we may not have a meeting unless, of course, something else comes up.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the thing we're plugging for that time. But he was busy doing some other stuff, and I don't know if he's going to get it together in time. But there's still, you know, we could do it the following month if he's not prepared.
You'll probably know by the June 4th workshop
I
whether it'd be a
should,
go or
yes.
not, huh?
Yep.
Okay. Well, with that, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Edinger made the motion to adjourn, seconded by Commissioner Kennard. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There's never any opposed. Thank you, everybody, and thanks for coming out and sharing what you do with us tonight.